start filtering in on the latest update. Our Prime Minister is about 15 minutes away, they tell us. And so he's on the route, so he'll be here shortly, so it's close. 5 minutes, they told me. So what we'd like to do is maybe just start a little informal program, get people seated. I know the security people want everyone seated when he arrives, and the people out in the lobby. There's some seats over here. We can get everyone in. And then the plan will be, we'll greet the Prime Minister, his wife Sarah, and then I will do a brief introduction of when he comes here. And then before that, we can have a little bit of an informal program as we're waiting, which easily detaches into his program as soon as he arrives. So it's an exciting moment, I think, for all of us, and a special occasion. What I'd like to do is to start. Do we have everyone from outside in? We have a video, a 3-minute video that talks about Newsmax, just so you know a little bit about us. It starts off this year. We had an iconic, Malcolm mentioned, public offer of the New York Stock Exchange. So they did a film that's about 1 minute long, which is really fun. It features this guy, Chris Reddy. I don't know if you heard about him. And but it has a lot of cast of characters. Some of the folks are here in the film. And then 2 minutes about Newsmax, what our mission is, and how we're growing. So that's our like 3-minute commercial. And then Carl Higby is one of our top-rated hosts. And Carl is here all this week in Israel, broadcasting every night, talking about some of the challenges Israel's facing with the hostages. And I've asked him to come up and just chat about what he's experiencing, because he's been incredible. He's a Navy SEAL. He served in Iraq during the war in 2006 and 7. He's very aware of the situation here. So if we're ready, and the video people, I know the podium's going to hurt the view of some of this, but try to look with your eyes with X-ray vision to see. If we dim the lights a little bit, I think would be very effective up front. No. Yeah. That's it.
You know, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. But also, it takes a lot of people that want to contribute to make that journey successful. The people in our privilege believe that we have a special mission, which is to give the American people, this special country, the information they need to make great decisions that will effectively shape the future and improve our freedoms. It's a momentous time for me personally, but also I thank all of you, and I hope for the country. And I want to thank you all for coming today.
It's true. Millions of Americans are making the switch to Newsmax. They're turning to Newsmax for the real news. Each night across America, viewers like you are tuning in for famed host Greta Van Susteren, followed by rising star Rob Schmidt and America's voice Greg Kelly. Newsmax's roster of top-tier talent are joined by some of the best correspondents and journalists from across the nation and around the globe. With such powerful voices, Americans are turning to a new source for their news. The Economist YouGov poll found that Newsmax was among the most trusted brands in cable news. That's why leaders in politics, leaders in business, leaders in global news are all turning to Newsmax to reach America. Nielsen says Newsmax is already the 4th highest rated cable news channel in the country and competes regularly with CNN and Fox News for their top-tier cable audience. It's no wonder the big media and the people who matter can't stop talking about Newsmax.
Newsmax.
Newsmax. Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
The Newsmax studios and the writer of Like Mike.
Greg Kelly over at Newsmax. The Newsmax people have been really, really terrific. Newsmax has been
Terrific. Newsmax, you like Newsmax. I like it too. Each month, more than 40 million Americans watch, listen, or read Newsmax. Millions have made the switch, and millions more are making it now. Be one.
We even aired this show called Huckabee on the weekends. Ratings have gone way down since he took another job. He's doing something more interesting in the Middle East. We're very honored tonight to have some special guests. Our group was just really taken today by Speaker Ohana. He is doing a tremendous job and a great advocate for the people of Israel. And our mission group, which is here, really appreciated. Speaker Ohana is here today with the Ambassador. Minister Tal was here earlier. He spoke a few words. And Simcha Rothman, the member of Knesset, is here. Dana Luz was here earlier, but I think he had another engagement, member of Knesset. And the governor of the Judea and Samaria, I believe, Governor Gantz, Israel Gantz. Somebody said he always can be remembered as the guy who's the good Gantz. Somebody said that to me earlier. We like that. So, Governor, thank you for joining. Carl Higbee is an amazing host. You saw his picture up here. Please come up, Carl, and maybe share some of what you felt, what you learned this week. And I think people would be interested to hear it.
Thank you very much. Instead of putting my face in the video a lot, they just flew me out here to talk to you directly. No, this has actually been an incredible experience for me, and I appreciate Mr. Ruddy taking the time and especially the honor of flying me out here to see this. I did a couple tours to Iraq as an active guy back 07, 09, and thank you. So people say, is this the first time you've ever been out this direction? I said, no, well, no, not really, but this is the first time I've actually had somebody or nobody shooting at me, so that's nice. This is, to see the enemy that I fought in Iraq, it's very interesting because America is 7,000 miles away, but Israel has these people literally on their borders. We're driving down the road and I see a fence. You should.
They say the Prime Minister's here. I'm going to greet him at the door and then walk him up and just do an introduction. And you can continue talking till you see him open the door.
Fantastic. All right.
You're our security at the podium.
Exactly. So if you just see me run away, that's why. No, but we drive down and I ask our driver, I said, why is there this huge fence along the highway? He says, oh, because, people who don't like us throw rocks at our cars randomly. And we in America don't have to deal with that. We have been told that there is, no aid going into Gaza, nothing like that. And there is. I witnessed 300 to 400 different trucks a day going in there escorted by military contractors. It looks like the Prime Minister is coming out now, so I don't want to take too much time from him, but I appreciate you guys having us out here. It's really been an honor. Thank you.
Please take a seat. It is my ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor to introduce a man whose life work has been the defense of his people, the preservation of freedom, and the unflinching pursuit of truth. Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of the State of Israel, and his wife embody these views and principles, and we're so honored to have you tonight.
Thank you.
Sarah Netanyahu is also joining us tonight. They say it's a cliche to say that behind every great man is a great woman. Well, in this case, it is true, and I think he admits that. Sarah Netanyahu is the mother of Yair and Abner, and we know Yair because he comes on Newsmax occasionally. He's quite articulate.
is the only First Lady to work during her husband's terms. A career in educational psychologist, she has dedicated herself to helping children in need, people on welfare, for instance. She remains in close contact with hostage families, wounded IDF soldiers, and the families of reservists. In recent months, the Prime Minister has faced two of the greatest threats to the security of Israel ever: the relentless advance of Iran's nuclear program and the constant menace from Gaza and Hamas. Against Iran, he has marshaled intelligence, diplomacy, and when needed, decisive action to ensure that those who dream of destroying Israel would wake up to a far different reality. Against the terror networks in Gaza, he has acted with precision and resolve to protect innocent lives, never losing sight of Israel's moral duty in the fog of conflict. These are not decisions for the timid. They are the choices of a leader who understands the history and does not remember those who flinch in moments of crisis. Winston Churchill once warned that the free world faced a gathering storm of tyranny. He stood often alone against the tide of appeasement. Sounds familiar with you against the media sometimes, because he knew that peace without strength is an illusion. In our time, Benjamin Netanyahu has carried that same torch of clarity and courage. He has been willing to stand alone if necessary, to tell truths, and to act before danger becomes catastrophe. The battles ahead may be different, but the principle is the same. The survival of a free people depends on leaders like Benjamin Netanyahu, who will not bow, who will not yield, and who will never apologize to defending his nation, Israel. On October 7th, we all recognize that all people who love freedom and cherish the values of a great society, on that day, we all became Israelis, and we all stood with Prime Minister Netanyahu and the people of Israel, and we stand with you today. Today, we welcome a statesman who has been tested on the world stage and will continue to meet those tests with iron will and unshakable purpose. Please join me in giving a warm and heartfelt welcome to the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Newsmax, for helping us on the 8th front war. 7 fronts against Iran and its proxies. The 8th front, the battle for truth. And Newsmax, you have let the truth circle the globe against the lies that have circled it before and continue to do so. There's only one way to beat the lies, and that's with the truth. Thank you for standing up with Israel. Thank you for standing up with the truth. Sarah will join us in a short moment, but I want to thank you for your kind words about her. She deserves every one of it and more. Every one of it and more. She is, I call this battle against Iran, I called it Rising Lion, because in the Bible, there's a phrase that the people of Israel should rise like lions, will rise like lions. And our brave soldiers did just that. But we also have lionesses. We have lionesses in the field, and I have a lioness at home that guards not only our cubs, but fights for the people of Israel against enormous pressures, vilifications, lies. She's just so strong, and I treasure her support. There are a few things I want to say to you in English, but there's something I want to say in Hebrew because we have the Hebrew press here. So it'll take a few minutes. And you can have running translation. It's AI. It's imperfect, but it's sort of can do the job. אנחנו השגנו ניצחונות כבירים. אנחנו השגנו ניצחונות והישגים מול חמאס ומול חיזבאללה ומול המשטר הרצחני של אסד בסוריה ומול איראן וגם מול שלוחים אחרים. אנחנו עשינו את זה כי לחמנו יחד. אנחנו עשינו את זה משום שצה"ל והמוסד והשב"כ, כל אחד בתחומו, כל אחד בגזרתו ובשילוב זרועות, עשו עבודה יוצאת מן הכלל בהנחיית הדרג המדיני, בהנחיית ההחלטות שהממשלה מקבלת כראוי בדמוקרטיה. הממשלה מחליטה, ודרגי הביטחון מבצעים, ולכולם מגיע את הקרדיט, כל אחד בחלקו וכולם יחד בשילוב. אבל אני רוצה לומר משהו על תופעת הלשעברים. אלה האנשים שהובילו את זרועות הביטחון בישראל. אני שירתתי עם חלק מהם, בדרך כלל הם היו יותר צעירים ממני, אבל עם חלק שירתתי, ועם חלק אחר עבדתי כראש ממשלה במהלך 18 שנותיי כראש ממשלת ישראל. יש לי הערכה גדולה מאוד לתרומה שלהם, כל אחד בתחומו, גם לגבורה שהם הראו בשדה הקרב, בהקרבה. ואני חושב שהאנשים האלה שהיוו מופת לרבים אחרים, עשו דברים חשובים מאוד למדינת ישראל. אבל משהו קרה בצאתם מהשירות. משהו קרה. והדבר לא קרה באופן אישי, הוא קרה באופן מערכתי. בהדרגה בשנים הללו יצאה מילה אחת מהלקסיקון של צבא ההגנה לישראל. והמילה הזאת היא ניצחון. ואנחנו מחזירים את המילה הזאת, משום שבלעדיה אין משמעות לקיום שלנו כאן. או שאנחנו מנצחים, או שאלה שבאים לכלותנו ינצחו. אנחנו מנצחים. אנחנו מכריעים. והעובדה הזאת שערערה במידה רבה את האמון שלהם, הם חיפשו תחליף. איך אנחנו ננצח? איך נעמוד מול הגל העולמי? הגל העולמי קורא לנו בעצם לאבד את עצמנו לדעת באיזה אילוזיה, באיזה רעיון עיווים של מדינה פלסטינית שכל מטרתה להשמיד אותנו, והדרך שבה נפתור את הבעיה של הקיום שלנו זה לתת פלטפורמה, לתת מדינה פלסטינית שבעצם כל כולה תהיה מכוונת לחסל אותנו. ובחיפוש אחר תחליף לניצחון בא הרעיון הזה, שמה שהם קוראים פתרון מדיני, שהוא לא יותר מאשר מילה אחרת לתבוסה וכניעה. וזה לא יהיה. דבר הזה לא יהיה. אבל מה שקרה הוא שאנשים שחדלו להאמין בניצחון התחילו להאמין בחזיון השווא הזה, ונסחפו לתוך תנועות פוליטיות קיצוניות שמערערות את עצם הרוח של הלוחמה, שמערערות את הנכונות להילחם עד כלות ועד הניצחון, מתוך מחשבה שזה פסול ולא ייתן שום דבר. אני מצר מאוד על מה שקרה לאנשים האלה, שמאוד הערכתי אותם בזמן שירותם. אני לא אוותר על הניצחון, עם ישראל לא יוותר על הניצחון, הלוחמים שלנו לא מוותרים על הניצחון, ואנחנו משיגים את הניצחון על אויבינו. זה מה שנמשיך לעשות, עם הלשעברים או בלעדיהם. Now I want to say a few words in English. Did you understand that, Ambassador Huckabee? I don't know. I follow every one of your words. You could follow every one of mine. I followed you when you said the other day that the problem in Gaza is that not starvation for the Palestinians, and certainly for Hamas. Hamas, you said, needs Ozempic. Well, it could be funny, but it isn't. It could be funny because it's not funny because the deliberate starvation policy, the only deliberate starvation policy that we see in Gaza, is the starving of our hostages. And you can see that when you look at their captors and you see our emaciated hostages and these corpulent guards, tormentors, And that's a way to puncture the falsehoods, because the battle, the eighth front that I was talking about, is the battle to puncture the lies and bring out the truth. Israel has no starvation policy. It had and has a policy to separate the civilians from combatants on two fronts. The first front is the actual battle zones. We have sent millions and millions of text messages, phone calls. This has never happened before in the war, that the army that is fighting terrorists in an urban environment calls on the civilians in enemy territory to leave, and the enemy shoots them if they try to leave. And then Israel is blamed for genocide. That's ridiculous. It is a blatant falsehood, and one of the first and most important lies that has to be exposed. The genocidal element is Hamas. The genocidal element is the Iranian axis that openly calls for the annihilation and extermination of Israel and many Jews. It calls for the death of America, that's true. But people don't understand that it begins with their attempt to destroy Israel, because we stand in their way. We're the only force in the Middle East that fights Iran. And until recently, we were the only force in the world that fought Iran. And I very much appreciate President Trump's bold decision to send those B-2s to help Israel fight against this common enemy. So the first false accusation is genocide. The second false accusation is starvation. From the start, from the second day of the war, we said there has to be another separation between civilians and combatants, and that is that we supply humanitarian aid to the combatants. Even though we're in a very small and tight urban space, we'll do every effort to do so, and we did. If we had a starvation policy, now nearly 2 years after the beginning of the war, everybody in Gaza would be dead. But they're not, because that's not our policy. Our policy is the exact opposite. We sent in 2 million tons, 1.9 million tons of food and medical aid into Gaza, because that's how we conduct the war. Until recently, that is, when Hamas began to loot, rob, kill, take over humanitarian aid. We wanted to put in our own system, American companies who will distribute the aid directly to the Palestinian civilians. Again, Hamas came in, shot their way in, created riots, created every interdiction possible, and so we had a period of deprivation. Hamas caused the hunger problem. Hamas caused the shortage problem, and Israel is blamed, again falsely. We are now engaged in a humanitarian surge of offering safe, secure routes for distribution of food. We're doubling and perhaps quadrupling the number of distribution points that will be safeguarded, and we're doing airdrops, invite other countries to join us. That's what Israel is doing. And as a result, now hundreds of trucks go in daily, and that hunger problem, that deprivation problem, has basically been solved. What has not been solved, what has not stopped, is the campaign of lies, and especially those photographs of 3 children. One of them in the New York Times, the reputable New York Times. Nobody's laughing. They put a photograph of an emaciated child, and they said this is the cause of hunger. He's embraced by his mother. Of course, the mother is not emaciated. The brother is not emaciated. But this child was not emaciated from hunger. He was emaciated by a genetic disease, cerebral palsy. And 2 other children, same thing, made the great pictures and so on. Horrific, heart-wrenching pictures, because it does tear your heart out when you see this. And they were also suffering from genetic diseases, but 2 of the 3 were actually taken care of by Israel. We let out one of these children go to an Italian hospital, and thank God, he recovered there. The other is incurable. He was in our hospitals, but there's nothing you can do about it. So this is a complete reversal of lies, and I don't take it lightly. I think this battle for truth has tragic historical antecedents. My father was a great historian of the Jewish people. and a great historian of the Jews in the Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, every single massacre that the Jews suffered was preceded by a campaign of vilification and lies. We were accused of spreading disease, vermin, to the Gentiles. We were accused of poisoning the wells. We were accused of killing Christian children for their blood to bake matzos for Passover. These lies, horrific as they were, propelled anti-Semitism right into the 20th century, into the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust. And the Nazis pretty much said the same thing about disease, about well poisoning, and so on. Well, that same phenomenon we see today. What the Jewish people were accused of in the Middle Ages and the subsequent centuries is what the Jewish state is now being accused of. There's only one difference. Then we had no defense. Now we have a country, now we have an army, and now we fight back against our tormentors. And now we have a great ally in the form of President Trump and many of the American people. Yes, some have fallen victim to these lies and have followed them and swallow hook, line, and sinker. And I'm talking about, all these lies of Hamas, statistics of Hamas, false pictures of Hamas. But many Americans have not, most Americans have not. They recognize that Israel stands for the same values as America. They recognize that we are fighting the barbarians at the gate. And when I say barbarians, this is not hyperbole. It's not only the goal of destroying Israel, it's even the method that they use to murder and mutilate the heathen, as they call them. And we saw that on October 7th in the murder and rape and beheadings, the murder of women that you have just raped, and the beheadings of men, and the mutilation of bodies, and the burning of babies, and the taking of over 250 hostages, grandmothers and their grandchildren, Holocaust survivors. That is the passion, and the fact that they went with GoPro cameras so people could boast about it. There is something wicked and evil in this. And yet you have in American campuses, the people, even the schools that I went to in Boston, Alan Dershowitz, you were in Harvard, I was at MIT. Can you say something in their defense right now? No. Yeah, I figured. Neither can I, because I think it's atrocious. Yet you have people there siding with Hamas, siding river to the sea, basically the river to the sea. You'd think that this is a huge country. The river is the Jordan River. It's hardly a river, it's a stream. I'm telling you that. And the sea is a few kilometers from here. In between Sandwich is the state of Israel, this tiny, giant country, It's a giant country, but it's tiny in dimension. And they basically say, wipe it off the map. And they don't understand what they're fighting for. Maybe some of them do. But our people who joined them don't even know what they're talking about. And it's not only the savagery of Hamas and the Iranian terror axis. In Syria, just a few weeks ago, we stopped the savage massacre of Druze, a non-Islamic sect. And we saw, and these people who hate them hate us and hate America, and they chant the same thing: death to America, death to Israel, death to the Jews, death to the heathen. And the Jews happen to be the heathen, a small minority. And they went into their town of Sueda, and they butchered the men. They raped the women, the nurses, and then shot them. They burnt babies, and they added a few things. They added it, and you saw it live, and you have to see it to understand this. I mean, you see a Druze civilian wounded lying on the ground, and one of these fanatics, these unbelievable savages, they go in, knife the guy, tear out his heart, and then eat it. And it takes a few seconds for death to come. So the victim has his heart eaten while he's still alive. This is savagery, this is barbarism, this is what Israel is fighting. on behalf of Western civilization, on behalf of civilization. And the propagation of these lies is exactly what we had in the Middle Ages. So now we have the capacity to physically defend the Jewish state, but we now have to muster all the forces that seek to defend our common civilization against this mutilation of the truth that threatens our common future. And that's why I salute Newsmax and others who stand together, stand up for the truth, are not cowed, can speak their mind, can show the facts, can stand up for our common humanity and for our common future. And if you're not ready in this day and age, especially in this day and age, to fight for freedom, you will lose it. If you do not fight for your civilization, you will lose it. We are prepared to fight, and I know America is prepared to stand with us, and I salute you for doing the same. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Coffee and refreshments are available out in the foyer. Help yourself.
I don't want to crowd them. I want other people.
in the foyer, you're not going to be allowed to get out of that door that you're crushing into. Trust me. So please back up. I know. But Chris told me to say this, so I'm going out of my mind. But thank you. Thank you. Oh, look at my audience. Please back up. You will not get out that door. Coffee and dessert are in the opposite direction.
No reason when there's a rock star in the house. You think donuts are going to convince them to turn around?
Maybe some booze.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Sorry?